We'll now turn to member questions, and I recognize myself for 5 minutes. I spoke earlier about how our regulatory and legal frameworks were designed for a financial system with centralized entities. Because of this, it can be challenging to apply the approach of same risk, same regulation to DeFi due to its permissionless peer-to-peer nature, and I think our witnesses all have done an excellent job talking about those, that concern or opportunity and the costs and benefits. But nothing is without risk. Current rules and regulations were established to address specific risks, and they aren't the same between traditional finance and DeFi. So, Ms. Tuminelli, what are the potential risks regulators should be focused on when they think about DeFi?
Thank you for that question. And as you suggested, the inherent risks in the traditional financial system are related to intermediaries. They're often opaque, we don't know what's going on, and they're often discriminatory or subject to human bias or subjective error. In DeFi, the risks are more related to the actual technology, so like vulnerabilities in code or consumer protection and education, making sure that people understand what a DeFi protocol does, how a self-hosted wallet works. And of course, illicit finance is a risk in every system. It's just that the way we deal with illicit finance in DeFi has to be different than the way we address that risk.
Right, so you recognize that we've got to solve for that equation, which is how we do the authentication and protect against bad actors in DeFi. Do we have the ability, when you think about it, aren't we very vulnerable from a cyber point of view? I'm not a big CISA fan. I know they have that responsibility, but I think there are a lot of vulnerabilities inside our cyber system in our country, no greater risk than the U.S., which is why I don't support more U.S. databases being created. They're just bigger targets. What's the best way to do that consumer protection from being hacked? Their wallet, their protocol, and I do agree that that's one of the most inherent risks compared to an intermediated risk of a capital failure or an error made by not doing the CrowdStrike patch in your system. So we know those risks, but talk about how you avoid that hack issue if you're in a decentralized finance environment.
So I think as you flagged, there is a big difference between a cybersecurity risk and a risk on the actual blockchain layer with the technology itself. With cybersecurity risks, those are often localized to one person or a small group of identifiable people, and we know what to do with cybersecurity risks. For years, we have been navigating.
We're not very good at it, though, are we?
Well, the industry has created actually a number of crypto ISACs that specialize in this exactly. They jump in if there's an ongoing exploit or hack and try to assist in returning victim funds. But to get to your other point on consumer education and protection, the industry has also come up with solutions for that. And a number of front ends have actually built into the front end software fraud alerts, scam alerts, so that a person can be protected on the front end.
Let me switch, stick with our discussion, but switch over to the commission now. And they proposed a new rule that broadly expands the definition of an exchange. I'd like your views and Mr. Van Valkenburg's too on this, to capture not just decentralized digital asset platforms, but also DeFi. Pretty broad. I was telling Mr. Lynch, things are not very well defined here, and so it seems to be a pretty massive overreach, over-definition by the commission. How should DeFi think about this exchange function? Like, one of the key functions of an exchange and an intermediate system is market making in a bond or a stock to aid in that matching, for pricing purposes. I get both of your points, but I'd like both your comments on this. The Gensler approach, what's wrong with it, and what a better approach is. And you've got 25 seconds, so I'll give you 25 seconds. Go.
So I would say that the very first problem is that the SEC has still never defined what a crypto asset security is, which is a precursor to this entire discussion. With the exchange rulemaking, they have swept extremely broadly to catch developers and protocols that have no ability to comply with the rule as they have proposed.
Very helpful. Mr. Van Valkenburg.
The only thing I'd add.
Mike.
The only thing I'd add to that excellent answer is the SEC swept so broadly in its Exchange Act rulemaking that it's run right into the First Amendment of the Constitution. And it's not the first time they got slapped down in SEC versus Lowe for being overzealous in their enforcement of the Investment Advisor Act and regulating mere publishers of newsletters. In the Exchange Act, they want to regulate people who, quote, make available a communications protocol. And if making available a protocol, which is a set of rules, isn't publishing speech, then I don't know what is.
Thank you, sir. My time's expired.